All right, this is John Chen, and I'm back in the studio here. You are watching the engagement show, two masters of engagement, myself, and of course my good friend Roger Haskett. Ho ho
But
ho,
oh ho ho,
Roger.
John! So nice to see you. How are you? The nicest one of the nicest things about this talk show is that it gives us monthly reasons, or not reasons, but an ability to catch up. Oh my goodness, you're going full beard now.
Well,
Nice.
said I was looking for my hat and I couldn't find it, so I thought I'd bring the beard, Roger. So like we could together, we complete each other,
We
literally.
complete each other, John. Except
Uh,
sadly, I only need the length for the beard. I don't need the gray anymore.
Gonna wash that gray right out of the Santa. So what has been happening? The amazing part, Roger, is I just spent 21 days in the real world. It's crazy, as much as I love the virtual place that we have here. This is the first time that I've sat in this desk for like, geez, how many? For 21 days. And so I just really wanted to share some insights for me about engagement back in the real world. What's been happening with you, Roger?
Well, we're wrapping up 2024, which has been a very exciting year. Lots of growth, lots of new products, lots of new things, which we're going to be talking about, shortly. Some of that stuff. So yeah, it's 2024 has been both a really great year and a very challenging year. I don't know about you, but I'm sort of happy to say goodbye to it, uh,
Yeah.
and I'm very interested to see what 2025 is going to bring us.
Oh, me too. And I just been to multiple places to reflect on that and multiple places to inspire the goals for 2025. So, yeah, during the last 21 days, Roger, I've been in Seattle.
Mhm.
Um, what is it? Charlotte, North Carolina, Malden, South Carolina, Miami, which I'm going to share in just a minute, Costa Rica, right? Um, One more. Minnesota, Minneapolis at a -8 Fahrenheit. Where the best joke I heard of the week is when Celsius and Fahrenheit agree, that's usually a problem.
That's right, totally. That's not good for humans.
And then back here in Seattle, I flew in literally last night, Roger, and just want to share some reflections from that. So
Wow.
let's see, fun parts here too. Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. So one part is that, of course, too, I'm working on my next conference. So it's for those who are here, we were going to engage you. We're going to give you a free ticket to a conference. You can come and check out here. But let me just ask this question to you, Roger. How many times have you slept in a hotel? I mean, sorry,
Oh,
slept in the airport, slept in an
oh,
airport.
oh, in an airport. I don't I don't know if that many actually. Like only maybe you mean like overnight. You don't mean like having a nap.
No, I mean like overnight.
Yeah,
Like you
I
had
think
to
only a
sleep.
couple times. I think only a couple times.
Yeah,
Like to
so what I'm saying is you had to do it, right? You've had to do it once I mean, being a speaker and
oh,
or having in the travel part, eventually at some point, stuff happens,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so this is what I want to share with you. This is my first one in real life. And the lesson that I want to share is how do you turn embarrassment into engagement?
Ah,
Embarrassment into engagement. Okay, so I was supposed to go to Costa Rica. I was supposed to go with Amazing Donna to Costa Rica, and then like 2 weeks before there, client calls with the last minute team building event in Charlotte. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna take the business, right? So I go to Charlotte, and it means that the event is so late that I can't go Charlotte back to Seattle and fly with Donna. It means that I have to go direct to Costa Rica and she has to go to direct to Costa Rica, right? And we're gonna meet there. And so like it should be a plan. And so I have to present till 12:30 and I get the 2:30 flight out, so I got plenty of time. Oh, I have to present till 12. So I have a half hour to get to the airport and make it, right? And so the problem is I can't have a direct flight anymore. So I have to hop through Miami, right? So I have to go Charlotte, Miami, Costa Rica. Okay, and so what happened was is that all the plan worked great. Team building, phenomenal, right? Team building still works, by the way, right? Oh yeah, and I'm still good at team building. Perfect event for this group that 45 people, and then talked to them. Got to the airport at 12:30. I'm sitting at the gate, bags checked in. They start loading the airplane, and then everything stops. Roger, everything stops and then when all the airline people are talking to each other, like something is happening. And eventually they announced that Miami has a full ground stop because the window in the air traffic control tower broke.
Well, oh,
And I didn't know this. You could take down the whole right United States airline system by
I would
breaking
go.
a window because they apparently cannot land any airplanes nor let any airplanes take off when you have a broken window in the Miami FAA tower. Right?
Wow.
So everything right it is now there is broken. Everything gets delayed for at least 2+ hours. So by the time I did finally get a flight from Charlotte to Miami, but then what happens, of course, in Miami, I missed my connection flight. Right, that connection flight's not there, and we go through all the scenarios. There's nothing to do, and then the worst part too is that Miami blamed Charlotte for the problem. So I can't even get a voucher for a hotel room or a meal.
So Miami blamed Charlotte for a broken window in Miami. That's a very long, like a good arm. Whoever had that arm.
It's a long finger to point. I feel very like Pinocchio, right? It's like long
Yeah.
finger, and so yeah. So now I gotta sleep in an airport, right? Because the flight, and then the next flight they booked me on was like a 6 p.m. But I said was smart enough to get on the standby for like 10 a.m. But I still got to sleep in the airport. I got nowhere to go, and I'm like, I don't want to go out. I don't know why. I guess I'm too cheap or whatever. I just wanted to be close to figure out if there was another option if something shows up. So people don't know, but there's a website called sleepinginairports.net. And for every single hotel in the world, including international, they'll tell you the best spots to sleep. So this one said, go up to this floor near the American Airlines, right? The club. So you got to take an escalator or an elevator up to the second floor. It's wide open, has flat spots, right? So let me show you what it looked like. Here's what it looked like. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so right, this is the escalator. Took up. Look, wide open. Nobody's here.
Oh my.
Nobody's here. The club's around the corner, and they conveniently left two boarders in the area. So I made a hotel room, right? This is me. I can now actually enter my room. It's got four power plugs. It's got internet, and then look, this is I was where I was going. CAPS is the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers.
Right.
And so now I can use my computer to watch movies. I had their website up, and so I spent the night in the hotel. Now, why am I turning this? Is like turning embarrassment into engagement because they had a WhatsApp group. So one, I have to notify the people because one of the things I was supposed to do was record, and I'm not going to make the first session, right? Because now I'm delayed.
Right.
And so the second part is that there's a whole group. So I just start. I don't know this group very well, right, Roger? I only know some of the Canadians, but I'm going to start turning this stuff into a story. And so I started posting this on the WhatsApp group, and like all these people are giving me positive encouragement. And what's funny is most people didn't know about sleeping in airports, the website. They're like, thank you for that, right? That was useful. And then the last part, Roger, by the time I did finally arrive, everybody knew me as you're that airport guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So your engagement had started when you started to record and then upload your story. So this is such an interesting twist to the story, right? Because up until then, it's not really embarrassment; it's more just hassle. Like you're hassled, you've got all this frustration, you're missing things, you're in an airport, which automatically makes people, I think, frustrated, and on top of that, instead of like for me, I have to say, for me, it would be easy to let my anger rise up and be in this place. But to arrive to Costa Rica and to have all these Canadians go, oh, I know you. You're the guy that we've been hearing about. And so your engagement level all of a sudden spikes from your pre-planning, like, from your pre-work, right? Which is I think an interesting like twist to think for people who struggle with engagement. Like I was
Mm.
watching a movie where this mother said to her son, look, if you're having problems, set yourself some ground rules. Walk in and don't sit down and grab a drink until you've talked to three people. You've said hi
Oh,
to three people. That's it. And I was like, that's really smart. Like what I tell people, I heard myself telling someone else the other day when they were like going, I'm really shy. I'm going to be doing this thing for this group. I don't really know. And I was like, oh, get a job. And they were like, what do you mean? I said, get a job. Have something to do at the event so that when you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, you have a job. Like, I'm standing at this table because I need to be giving things out. So now I'm here. I have a reason to talk to you. I have a reason to engage. Yeah, it's amazing. So what you can do pre-arrival to increase your engagement while you're there is something to really think about, especially for people for whom engagement is a challenge.
Speaking of engagement, one of our good friends, Celeste Combs, says she slept in the Amsterdam airport. So I think the real lesson around this too, Roger, and it leads right back to even the presentation engagement and everything else, is that engagement starts way before you think engagement starts, right? So it's like you can do lots and lots of engagement before what you think the thing you're planning for, and you should take advantage of that. It's like if you're throwing an event, right? There are lots of things that you can do to engage the audience even before you get on stage, and I think it's really valuable to do so. So
one of my rules that I teach in one of my courses is your interview or your engagement session, your whatever it is, starts the moment people can see or hear you and finishes the moment they can't. And now in social media, that means well before you walk in the room. So, it's really important, I believe, to think about your engagement going from the moment they see or hear you on social media or not to the moment they can't, as opposed to most people think engagement is when they actually are stopping and interacting with someone and talking, right? Like, that's the engagement. The engagement actually starts way before. I've engaged rooms by being loud in the hallway. I like, especially as a
right.
caretaker, I'm loud in the hallway. By the time I walk in the room, half the room is looking at me and they're like, who's this guy? I've already got a bunch of stuff set up by having the thing happen outside. Yeah. Yeah. Love it.
Okay, what do you got for us, Roger, in the
Okay.
real world?
Okay, so one of the projects we were, so in the real world, what our experiences is in 2024 is the timelines have shrunk and they continue to shrink. Like, we get calls a week before now going, hey, next Friday, could you, when we would never have that before. So we had a new client say to us, we want to do a new project. We want to do CSR. So we do a lot of CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, give back. It's where the conference, the group does something for the local community. So we do buddy benches, we do mud pie kitchens for kids. These are things that they build and that they are put on playgrounds and daycares that help with play and imagination for the mud pie kitchens and creativity, or help with anti-bullying or empathy building for buddy benches. But we wanted something, they're very high end. There's a lot of stuff involved. There's a lot of work. So we wanted to come up with something much faster, and we only had a very short period of time. So what we came up with, we're super happy with, is this concept of birthday boxes. And actually, they're birthday boxes, shelter boxes, or custom boxes, depending on the client. I'll get out of the way there. The birthday box, every child deserves joy on their birthday. And so what we did is we created these boxes that have outside, you can see what the themes are. This is Paw Patrol. It's for 3 to 6 years old. It's got stuff for 6 kids. Let me get rid of that. Oh, that's too big. And so we offered it to our client, and what we found, it was just supposed to be something that happened sort of on the side. They only planned on having people work for 5 or 10 minutes. This was a fam trip, so people had a lot to do and a lot to look at. And so we were like, great, they have 30 minutes there. We're going to grab them for a short period of time. But what happened, of course, because this is such an amazing event, is people got super engaged. As you can see with these photos, the woman on the ground, I went over to her and I said, oh, hey, you don't need to get on the ground. We'll open up a new table for you. And she looked up at me and she went, Roger, in my house, when we made Christmas presents, we did it on the living room floor. I'm just doing what makes me feel good around the holiday season. And so she insisted staying on the ground and making her, and so they made a number of boxes. Let me get out of here. And then they are donated. So the super cool thing is they're donated to, here we go. Is this it? Yeah, they're donated to at-risk daycares and preschools and et cetera. And on the side of it, it says what's in it. So here, this is a Hot Wheels one. It tells you what activities, the loot bag, what decorations you have, also what's included, cake mix and icing and utensils, etc. So the idea is that a parent who is struggling can still give a full birthday party to their kid. Whether or not they can afford it, they just go grab one of these boxes for the appropriate, we had like unicorn ones and rainbow ones as well. So they all fit for different themes. And of course, what we heard at the end of this is the most engaging. People, instead of spending 5 to 10 minutes, they forgot about their drinks, they forgot about everything else, and they descended and spent 30 minutes building these, because they're building them for kids. These are going to go to 3-year-olds, 6-year-olds. And what we have found in team building, especially, nothing competes with hero energy. The moment you put hero energy in the room, people start to feel that they're doing something meaningful for other people, especially for kids. The engagement goes off the chart. So I wanted to talk about birthday boxes. Yeah.
Birthday boxes. I don't know why I was listening to. I was like, it would be fun too if they made boxes for themselves, right? You can do an adult box, put all the things that you can't put in a kid's box. And it'd be cool to do something like on the acknowledgement side for your coworkers too.
Yeah. So we have like custom. So we have shelter boxes. This is more for like when you're trying to help people who are homeless.
Yeah.
Families that are homeless, but we also have custom boxes. And the idea is a client would come up and say, hey, we want to do X that's specific to our group. And we'd be like, yeah, you want stuff for your coworkers? We'll make those boxes. And then we'll facilitate it, but you guys will make it. And what they do is they get the boxes, they wrap the boxes, they put all the stuff in, they have to, anyway, it's super fun, super involving, and a lot more, there's a lot more engagement than just like, walking by and stuffing something into a backpack and moving on.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I love the get on the floor, because you know what? You end up learning something about each other too. Like holiday traditions is a great way to connect people together and maybe learn something, right? If you have a culture that's not yours, you might learn how do they spend the holidays. Everyone does it a little different. And I think it's really honoring to learn a little bit more about people's traditions. So,
absolutely.
Well, speaking of holiday traditions, and I got a new traditions, right? So Roger, how much AI are you starting to use yet in your business?
So I've gone through an up and down with AI, where I was doing a lot earlier on and it sort of fizzled out. But now I use AI a lot for, I check with ChatGPT to go, oh, what's the best way to do this? Or, I just used it recently to, what was I doing? I was editing a image, which was, I was just so easy in ChatGPT, like, oh, can you get rid of this background,
Yeah, so AI is definitely one of the new engagement tools, I really believe. And so this particular one is something too, Roger. You said you were working on music in the pre-show. And so I want to show this to you. So I did a brand new presentation for CAPS, which is the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. They asked me to speak at their conference, which is great too. It was an amazing conference for those who are looking for conferences. Like, I've been to other speaker conferences and it's so good. I'm going to go back. And so I shared 12 tips, and I wanted to share one of them with this, is to show how you can use engagement. So the tool is called Suno, Roger. And so let me show you, and then I'll tell you what it is. So let's see. Okay, great. I have a little bit of Suno here. Let me show you what I had. This will take about 90 seconds. Here we go. Watch the lyrics, Roger. They'll be at the bottom center.
In the north where dreams run free, voices strong like maple trees.
Maple.
Unlocking limitless possibilities, together rising on this breeze. Costa Rica sky so bright, guiding us through darkest nights. Push beyond your comfort zone. Are you ready? Find your own. Inspiring words take hold our hearts. Every step a brand new start. Speakers from across the land, hand in hand we'll stand.
enjoying the sunset, watching the horses go by.
There's nothing there for you. It's just a ride.
Watch out, Costa Rica. Here we come. So check this out, right, Roger? Here's the tool. The tool is called Suno. You heard of Suno?
Suno. How do you spell it?
Suno. And here, let me see. Actually, I may have a slide here for you. And so what it does is that it makes music. So what I did is actually I can show you the prompt for this, right? Something I've been talking about is prompt engineering. Prompt engineering says it's training how to use or ask AI for what it is how you get more out of AI. So Suno is an AI songwriter. So it wrote that song after this prompt in under 2 minutes. And so let's see, let's go take a look at the prompt here. Yeah, Canadian pop anthem. CAPS Convention, Canadian Associated Professional Speakers. The theme this year was Unlocking Limitless Possibilities, Push Beyond Your Comfort Zone, Are You Ready? Inspiring Speakers. And so it wrote that entire song out of that prompt.
Yeah.
And then because I told you earlier I was on the WhatsApp group, people were posting pictures and a lot of them chose just to go early, right, to go to this. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to the CAPS organizers because this is the first time the conference was ever held out of Canada.
Mm.
And it was a huge risk. And they said it was very controversial, but they said the reward was that they got a lot of newer members and they got a lot of younger members for the first time who showed up at this thing. So they engaged an entirely different audience than the usual conference just by changing the site of the selection. Okay, but going back to the song, the key here now is to write the song, and then I took pictures from WhatsApp and cut a whole video into it. All right, and there's some other thing. You know, the slideshow is still a universally engaging technique because who doesn't like to see themselves on the big screen? And so, anyway, that's my new tip for you. So, Roger, for your next group, you could go into suno.ai today. There's a free account. You could actually write a customized song for your client that you could play at the end.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. Okay, so that relates to my point number 2, which is like engagement technology. So which works perfectly for this idea. So what we have done so this is totally different than events, etc. What you're using it as well, John, because I saw when we started Zoom. But Zoom now has the new AI companion. Yes. Which takes notes and tells you all that you need to, like, what your action items are, who's doing them, etc. So we discovered this halfway through the year, and it has electrified our meetings because now you don't have to be worrying about taking notes, who's doing stuff and who isn't. It's all so you can really lean into the meeting and be part of it and be like, okay, so this is what as opposed to I used, as the organizer, I always was thinking, oh God, who's taking the notes and how good are the notes? And I need to take, because that was an important point, and who I better think about. So my brain was always split. Whereas now it allows my engagement brain to be fully present because I know that the back end is getting covered. So this is, in terms of AI, like this is one of those things where I'm just like, this has relieved so much pressure and so much sort of worry and anxiety, and allowed me instead to be present, which is one of, like, I believe the building block of engagement is active participation. You're engaged when you're actively participating in something, and that goes as far as, like, Facebook, looking at what your eyes are doing on the screen, like when your eyes are over here engaging rather than over here engaging. So I love it. So that's my middle engagement in real life, using Zoom AI companion so that you can focus on the meeting rather than focus on what's missing.
And in some meetings, when you have the feature turned on, you can actually go to the AI companion and do things like ask it. It had options where it says, catch me up in this meeting.
Wow. Oh, I have seen that, but I didn't use it. That's what,
Right. And so then, it could also say, list me the action items. So even if you jumped in late to a meeting, You can look for it if somebody has it turned on and then ask for that, and it will tell you what has happened in the meeting when you weren't there.
That's amazing.
It's pretty sick, yeah. And so,
So I wonder. Sorry,
I
go
was
on.
going to say the number one thing I use it though is like in this meeting right now, I have the AI companion. It will email me a summary. You can tell it to email everyone a summary, and I copy and paste that, and I keep it in OneNote. And so, years later, I could go back and Roger will go, "What did we talk about?" On December 17th, and I'm like, "We talked about engagement in the real life," and it's because I got this whole summary of the conversation inside of there.
And you put it into OneNote.
OneNote is one of my tools that I use to keep all my notes. So I have notes for over 20 years, Roger. Like I can tell you, we were talking about the meeting, MPI meeting. If I took a note at that meeting, I can tell you what day it was, and that's where Roger and I actually met.
So that's I'm so glad we had this show because Suno was great, but the OneNote is for me. I'm a
Notebook
ADHD.
guy? You're still a notebook guy, right?
I'm all over the place often. Like it's very hard for me to stay organized. So I've got notes. Like you asked me where that thing on music that I had, and I was like, oh, let me look. I've got 7 places. Now I'm going to see about using OneNote to put it all together.
Because I can search, right? I can search those things, and usually I design my stuff around, right? Part of engagement is actually knowing where the hell I can find something, right, Roger? And so I have 4 search keys. One is the date, one is your name, one is your company name, and one is the location. And if I can remember, as I get older too, Roger, it gets harder. But if I can remember one of those 4 things, I can find it.
That's amazing. I'm going to do that. That's awesome. Okay, John, what about the third thing?
So the third thing here is the next trip I took was to Minnesota, and Minnesota was a -8 Fahrenheit. And but one of the things that happened this year that Roger, we've been sharing is that I earned the Certified Speaking Professional in 1 of 400, and one of the things, the benefits for it is that.
Oh, wait a second.
Oh, wait. How about this one? Ready? Oh, geez. Come on. Wow. There we go.
There, that's a wow.
Genius. So one of the benefits of it is that there's one invite only event per year called the CSP Summit. And Roger, what do you know about masterminds? Tell me do you know anything about masterminds?
Well, masterminds are where people a high level of a specific idea group, whatever, get together to share. Like it's less about one person leading, and it's far more about, hey, everyone in the room has got. So this is like a hive mind stuff where at the end of every session, I do hive mind where I pull the ideas together because all of us are smarter than one of us. Yes. That's mastermind.
And so in this mastermind too, what's kind of cool is, first I just wanted to share, what it is, and then share why is it so engaging. So in this case, let's see, here we go, is that this is my mastermind, right? And why are they engaging? Well, number one, it's a small group. There's 8 of us, right?
Yeah.
And part of what they do is then you can get the authenticity. Like the guy on the far left, turns out this guy Carl, I've never met him before. I think I've seen him around, but what a cool story. He was a 12th round NFL draft pick, Roger, and he went on to be a 5-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champion. And he's the only defensive guy who's ever played every single defensive position on a defensive line.
Okay, so he's good and versatile.
Yeah, and he's also the only NFL speaker who's ever become a certified speaking professional. So, he applied his part to there. And so what I'm just saying is that this is a really cool place that I really got to meet him on a much more one-on-one level than him on stage or him, just walking around a place. I really got a chance to know a lot of his story. And so the next part is vulnerability. We were all talking about our businesses, and some people disclose some things about their businesses, right? That we're speakers, and often, right, we're talking about rainbows and unicorns, and our real life may not be like that all the time, right? Roger said his year was challenging. Mine was too. And so, those are, I think, The next piece is engaging is you often find out you're not alone.
So I think that the mastermind concept is so strong and so valuable that there's so many different organizations that offer them. I give talks to the McKay group, and also there's a couple other in Vancouver that are CEO or C-suite mastermind groups, and those are actually led by people. But the idea really is you have a group of like 8 or 10, and that's the group that you're with, and you're with that group for years, and you talk about your challenges, you talk about successes, you learn from each other, but mostly you also develop friendships. And so one of the things that I talk about in my engagement talk is that studies have shown that if you have a friend at work, and
Yes.
you can self-describe what that friend is, like whatever friend means to you. You are 40% more capable at work of doing your hardest stuff because of your friend, not because you're going to pick up the phone and go, oh, I've got really hard stuff, come over and help me. It's not that at all. It's just the knowledge that you have support around you. You have someone who likes you, who's there at that work, who likes you, and that gives you power. That gives you strength. Like, that's engagement power. So I think these things are so good, so smart.
So, Roger, talk about engagement too. There's another author who put out a book and found all the research and said that if you have a best friend at work, you're 7 times more likely to stay at that job. This is for all you managers who are listening to this program. If you want to do something, you know,
100%.
you can't force, but if you can create an environment or support people having or finding a relationship at work, they're gonna stay longer and be more productive, right? There we go. Roger's got his 100% inside of there. And so here, I want to share this last piece here too. You know, in those relationships, like the woman Sarah has a company and she created these cards, and they're called frog cards. It says forever recognize others' greatness, right, Roger? And like we're into this. And so we met, and I gave her a gift, and she said she brought like a couple of her items, knowing that she was going to give one as a wild card. And she goes, John, you're the wild card. I'm going to give you this deck. Okay. And so, and she started by giving me this card, right? Here's the card. You are truly gracious and grateful. You are truly gracious and grateful. She made a card of 52 of these, and listen to the way she did this. Like, talk about overachievers, Roger. They look for acknowledgement, like all the different types of acknowledgement, and then started to boil down and categorize them into a bunch of categories, and eventually made a 52 card deck, right? So here's the deck. All right. And again, it's frog for those who want to look for it. And like, here's one. You have a real understanding of business. Again, I'm just randomly picking out. Oh, here's one for you. You are enthusiastic and optimistic an optimistic role model, right? And so you just go out and give these cards, and that recognition of others. Again, if you want to be engaging, is to take the moment. And that was immediately what I did with her card deck is I listened on the first day to all the people who I was just meeting, and I found the card that matches them. And at the end of the meeting, when we broke up, I just took the time to say, here, this is for you.
And I mean, when you're talking about an engagement tactic, there is nothing better than going up to someone and honestly telling them something positive about themselves. So
I saw something in you today. Yeah, I learned something about you. You know, and often we don't know that, right? That's actually I was going to try and add this last piece here is that many of these people who are very, very successful still talk about imposter syndrome, and that often we sometimes need to hear it from somebody else, especially someone we know or like and respect, right, or trust, and saying that these are the things I see in you from the outside.
Well, and even more than that, John, I would say like it's the things that are often even the most obvious are the ones that you should talk about the most.
Yeah.
My spouse and I, we talk about this quite often, where she'll say something to me. She'll be like, "Oh, you're so X," and I'll like sort of stop and be like, "Well, what? That's so nice of you. Why did you say that?" And she's, "Oh, it's just so obvious. You're like that all the time. You're always like that." And I'm like, well, wouldn't it be nice to know that? Because the things that other people see in you so easily are things that often you don't, and often are the things that you struggle with. Like, you know, there are so many stories about. So I do I do kiss attacks. So I do kiss attacks at home or I do kiss attacks at work, which are different. So at home, when I'm really low, I don't have energy and I'm looking at something and I just don't feel like I can do it. What I do is I run around the house and I find my family and I kiss attack them. So I lift up my 10-year-old's back shirt and I kiss her on the back so my beard makes her squeal. And I grab my 13-year-old and I hug him. And I grab my wife and I kiss her. Like what happens is that I run back to my office full of energy. They are full of energy from what's just happened. So when you do that at work, what you do when you need to do a kiss attack at work, what you do is you go to a person, in your team, and you walk into that person's area and you say to them something that is absolutely true, that is absolutely something that you value in them so highly, and you say it to them, and then you get out. And then you go say it to 2 other people, like real, truthful things. By the time you sit back down at your table, your desk, you're full of energy, and so are they. So these cards are perfect ways of starting that process. Like walking up and going, "Hey, John, Roger, you're an optimistic," and I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice of you to say." Yeah, I love it. Okay, my third thing I think we're going to leave for the 2025. So instead, I'm going to end on a joke. We do Meme Monday. So if you guys, anyone here, sign up to Engagement Unlimited on LinkedIn or Roger Haskett on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. And we do Meme Mondays and Fun Fridays. So this is, where are we here? So this is the one for this week. Oh, wait, is this not it? Where are we? Oh, there we go. Yeah. This next song is about the complexities of trust and betrayal, and it's called "Why Is My Blank Bowl Still Empty, Janice?" So anyone who's had a cat recognizes that stare, I believe.
That stare. Where's my stuff?
Where is the thing I need? Yeah, anyway, that's that.
Genius, Roger. Well, we said it was the end of the year, right? What's a goal that you think you're going to set for 2025, right? Or do you have a wish or a?
Yeah, we have like financial goals, like which we totally have been identifying. I want 2025 to be a year of like less stress around the ups and downs of the industry. It would be really nice if 2025 were more of a stable, less up and down. I would appreciate that. But we have a new website coming out. I have a new team. I have a new executive suite person, as well as I've hired my amazing spouse to be working as well. So we've got lots of new things happening. We'll talk about in 2025. What about you? What about you, John?
What about me? Well, I'm working on a new book. Right? It's going to be called Engaging Meetings. So it's going to take out the virtual part and show, over the last 5 years, the book is actually going to turn 5 years old next year. It's amazing how fast time goes. And so I'm excited to bring this book and really talk about the one thing I've really learned. I thought the funny part, Roger, too, is people thought by going in person that magically everything was going to be engaging again. And that is not true, right? Roger and I know that to not be true. But people thought that. And so I think I'm going to show that I want to show the art and science of engagement and how the core of it doesn't change between virtual and hybrid and in person, but the details of it does change. And so I'm really going to describe some of the things, the best techniques for engagement in this next book. So that's what's coming up. So I also have a rebranding too. So you're going to see a new website, a whole bunch of new ways to share, what's happening in that I'm not just engaging in the virtual world, that I'm engaging, that engagement is really the core word here, and that we can be engaging everywhere, that there are challenges in being engaging everywhere, and there are great solutions if you know where to find it. Right, Roger?
Absolutely. I believe engagement is a superpower. So, it's the moment you bring more engagement into your life, you bring more power to do the things that you want to do with your life. Yeah, totally agree.
And I think it's like anything, right? Even if you are pretty good in engagement, but your audience is disengaging from you or your conference, now you got to go to people who have superpowers. And that's one thing I thought was really cool about going to the CSP Summit, is that you start meeting experts in so many different things. And you have to be an expert, I think, in these day and age, because what happens is that, right, you got to find somebody who spends all of their time thinking about and looking at the latest techniques and testing them out and knowing which ones fail and which ones work. And like for instance, I should never be my own CPA, right? I don't study the CPA field. Like, I'm never going to know all that stuff. That's why it's valuable to hire a CPA. So again, if anybody's looking for engagement, right, feel free to talk to Roger and myself, and make all your resolutions in 2025 come true. Any final words, Roger?
John. Looking forward to seeing you next year.
Looking forward to seeing you, and we're going to see what 2025 engagement looks like. Thanks again, Roger, and I look forward to seeing you in the real world sometime soon myself.
Oh, I guess this is something for 2025. We're declaring 2025 the year of engagement. So,
I'm in.
Yeah, there we go.
Happy to be your ambassador any day of the week, Roger.
All right. And vice versa.
And vice versa. All right. Thank you so much, Roger. All right. This is John Chen. This has been another episode of the Engagement Show. Make sure and tune in. We're here once a month sharing the best pieces of engagement for you. Happy holidays, and we'll see you in 2025.